Hey friends, my name is Jenna with Dog Liaison Training. That's Ace. He might be talking a little bit during our session today. Today we're going to talk about walks and walking our dog. Where do we take them? Why do we take them? How long do we walk for? What is our goal in our walk? So the first thing to remember is that a lot of times we describe the need for a walk as exercise. We're exercising the dog. And it's important to remember that exercise is really vague. It doesn't tell me what you're exercising. Are you exercising them emotionally? Are you exercising them physically? Are you exercising them mentally? And generally, the answer that I get from clients is, well, all three. Why can't it be all three? Okay. Then on top of that, sometimes the owners have an objective in walking, right? So I'll say, what is your goal when you're walking? Well, I'm there for cardio. Or maybe they're walking to work and their dog comes along. So usually they have their own objective in the walk as well. And it's important to remember that your objective in the walk absolutely could differ from the dog's objective in the walk. And that is that, for example, some dogs want to go for the walk for a mental stimulation. They want to have their nose on the ground. They want to be smelling every animal that peed on that grass. They want to watch the birds fly. They want to hear the skateboards off in the distance. They want to think, right? Or perhaps they're on the walk for the sake of physical exercise. This is generally like a smaller breed, right? Where they're going to walk not very far and still get a lot of mobility and a lot of movement out of it, right? Whereas a physical exercise for a larger breed, or perhaps a younger dog, a more able-bodied dog, a walk, you're gonna have to walk them for a long time before they're physically tired anyway, right? Their bodies are built to run. Certain breeds are more fundamentally built to run and run for endurance. So it's going to take a lot more physical exercise and therefore potentially a lot more walks, if ever, for the walk to accomplish that physical goal, right? Thirdly, maybe they're seeking an emotional experience. Maybe it's an opportunity to bond with you or to bond with another dog. Like if you have a second dog and you want to establish a good relationship between the two, having them go for a walk is a great way for them to become emotionally linked. So there are a lot of ways or a lot of reasons why you might go for a walk: mental engagement, physical engagement, emotional engagement. And then you tackle on your objective. Let's say your objective is physical, you just want to get your cardio. If your objective is cardio and to get your heart rate up, but your dog's objective is mental stimulation and to smell and to sniff and to stop, you guys are on two different wavelengths. And what will result of that is one of you is unhappy, fundamentally, and usually it's our dogs that have to give up what they want because we are trying to accomplish our goals first. And secondly, the dogs will generally pull, right? Or they're more likely to give undesired behaviors. They're pulling or they're halting, like they're putting on the brakes. And there's a lot of reasons why a dog might put on the brakes in a walk. There's a lot of reasons. But one of those is definitely that they want to stop and observe, and you're not giving them that opportunity, right? So when you start off on your walk and you're trying to accomplish all of these goals in one walk, or even worse, you don't know what goals you're trying to accomplish, that is not going to be a very successful walk for you or for the dog. You're more likely to have a incompatible walk, okay? The next thing to think about is limiting those goals. So if your goal is to engage them mentally, right? If you know that your dog likes to stop and sniff, likes to observe, likes to think. Maybe they're just analytical in nature. Maybe they're just more of a critical thinker by nature. What comes to mind is like an Australian Shepherd, stereotypically, or one of our herding families. They're going to still need that physical aspect, but they're probably not going to need it on the walk Maybe they get it instead swimming, or they get it when they're running around in your backyard, or they get it running at a doggy daycare, or they get it, in some other avenue. They're getting that physical cardio. But the walk on a leash with mom and dad is for the sake of mental engagement. Or maybe you got a little chocolate lab, like our friend Ace here. He's much more emotionally motivated. So when he goes for his walks, he's really there. He's an extrovert by nature, and he is really there to have his crew, right? So he's gonna want to stop and roll around in the grass and get kisses and get hugs and say hello to friends and neighbors' dogs. So on those walks, it's less about stopping just to smell, but it's more about stopping and saying hi to neighbors and checking out other dogs and having that social aspect to it, right? Then there are other dogs that are going to walk pretty diligently. What comes to mind is usually like a husky, but it can really vary by the individual. But a dog that puts one foot in front of the other and goes and is very focused, and here we do it, we're going, right? Those dogs are going to be more motivated by that physical exercise. So the key to having a happy walk with your dog is to know your objective ahead of time and to create a walk that is going to accomplish that objective, right? And if you get some of the other benefits, like for example, if you're going for an emotional walk, but it tends to be a little bit warmer that day, your heart rate's going to go up anyway. Your dog's heart rate is going to go up anyway, especially if you got a black lab, right? So you're still kind of tapping into that cardio aspect of it. That's not the main goal. The other thing to remember is that if you notice that your goals continue to not align with your dog's goals, then you have to restructure somehow. Whether, like, let's say your goal is to burn some cardio and your dog just wants to roll around in grass, you probably want to go for your walk first without the dog, and then return and get your dog and then go for his walk. Or if your objective is to go to the store and come back, but his objective is to stop and say hello to everyone, you might want to let him out first, do a short little walk. Maybe it's just up and down the street, but he gets to stop at every single neighbor and say, hi, friend, and love me, friend, and give me cuddles, friend. And then you take him home, and then you go to your store and you get your stuff and you come back. I promise you that if you start having a much more nuanced objective to your walk and stop thinking so broadly like exercise, I promise you'll see improvement in your walks. There's still obviously technique things that you'll have to cover as far as getting the dog's attention and loose leash walking skills. Those are going to happen, but it'll be easier to acquire those if at the fundamental, at the base root of everything, you're all on the same page. All right. Hopefully this answers some of your questions on the needs for a walk. And I would say as far as how frequently, that is incredibly individualized, and there's no way for one person to give you a standard answer. If you have a trainer or a blog or whatever that is saying it has to be this amount of times, this many weeks, and this many days, I would turn a little bit of an ear to that, because they don't know your individual dog's personality, and everything is relative. If you have a dog that swims 4 hours a day, he probably doesn't need to also do an hour-long walk a day, every day, right? That's probably not as necessary. If you have a dog, though, who spends a lot of time at home lounging, then probably a good, long, stimulating walk is necessary. So everything is relative, and you just want to make sure that you're looking at the dog as a whole and seeing how fulfilled they are on the whole. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.